Now you're being recorded on Fathom and on the cloud. Okay, guys, thanks for being here. I need to give you a little bit of premise before Brendan takes the floor for a few minutes. Yes, he and I are family, okay? But if you know me well, you know that means that if anything, I'm like more critical of him than I am than the average person. But what I'll say is this, is he is probably, not probably, he is one of the best real estate agents that I know. Okay. So before he was in real estate, he was in lending and he did a real good job in lending. And he's been selling real estate exclusively now for like 15 years, Brent? 15? 15 years. Okay. This guy knows his stuff and he is very good at his craft. Like, um, everybody likes him. Okay. So it takes a lot of guts to tell you what he's going to tell you right now. And this is all very fresh and new. This is like 2 weeks old. Okay. So we are not judging him when he shares his story with us. We're going to learn from it because I'm going to tell you without a doubt, if it can happen to him, it can literally happen to anybody. Okay. It can literally happen to anybody because, like I said already, he is really good at his craft. So, Brent, I'm going to let you take off with this now. And I know a little bit about it. So, kind of touch on, you know, a piece of the transaction
Yeah.
and what went kind of squirrely there.
Yeah.
And, then
Yeah.
fast forward to today.
Yeah. You'll get to relive it with me here.
Oh,
Every painful
I'm telling
moment.
you, when you're done, I'm not trying to spoil this for you, but when you're done, I'm gonna top it.
Please make me feel better. I would love
Oh no, I'm pissed. I'm
that.
so pissed. I'm gonna top it. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
All right, go.
So to set the stage, I had a transaction. I think it was in December. I sold a home for a husband and wife that were getting divorced, and it's a tough transition for husband and wife, or husband and ex-wife, ex-husband, ex-wife. Got pretty close with the husband, just kind of hit it off with him, and a real nice guy. And he confided in me. We talked about, hey, when this is all said and done, let's go get a beer. Got that type of close, where I thought, this guy's pretty cool. I could hang out with him. And he felt the same way, I think. So, we sold the property. We did a good job. Sold the property. During the negotiation for request for repair that was submitted, I said, hey, look, you guys are doing all this stuff. I will pitch in. Let me fix this door to the garage that was mangled by a dog, right? So I was on the hook for that. No big deal, right? I've got handyman, I've got contractors, no problem. So it came to that time where I had to replace the door. I had my handyman come out, and he's having all sorts of trouble with this door. Jaime, the husband, I'm calling and I go, Jaime, I go, what's going on with this door? I'm having issues matching it or getting it. Do I have to get this cut? What's going on? And he said, oh, that's a custom door. He goes, I don't know what you're going to do about that. And in my handyman's, I don't know if you know this part, D, in my handyman's, expertise, he goes, oh yeah, no big deal. We'll just replace the door. Let's just, since we have to do a dump run, let's just take it and throw it in the dump and we'll be done with it. Right. So I could have taken that door and taken it to a shop and had it recut, the exact same measurements, but it's in the dump now. And I actually did go back to the dump and tried to crawl through some garbage and find it. Um, so I ended up having to call my contractor, and he did a good job replacing it. But during that time, I'm calling Jaime a couple times, like, "Hey, what's going on with this? What? How come there's a problem?" And I had a frustrating day. Thought I hit it pretty well, but I guess I didn't because, a couple months later, I call Jaime and go,
Hold on,
"Hey,
no. Let
go
me
ahead,
interrupt
go
you
ahead,
for just a second.
go ahead."
So, like, you really went like extra mile. The
Oh,
truth is,
big
you
time.
went extra mile. You went and crawled through the garbage to try and find the door so that they could match it.
Yeah,
And throughout this period of where you're dealing with the door, you can't figure out the door. He calls me. I'm a contractor, an ex-contractor, whatever you want to say it, and he goes, well, what I'm gonna what does this mean? And I said, oh shit. Well, it means like, blah, blah, blah. So that's when he went to the dump to try and find the door, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, he really went extra mile.
I
Like,
spent a whole day on this door.
yeah, yeah. All right. So finish, go on.
So anyways, we everything closed, everything was fine. I got it done, right? And I knew Jaime said, "Hey, look, this has been a trying time. Like, give me a little while here. Give me a few months, and then I'm going to start looking for property." This was before the door. I said, "Yeah, no problem. I'll let you be for a little bit and relax and kind of decompress from the whole experience." So I call him a couple weeks ago and he goes, "Hey, what's going on?" I go, "Hey, I just wanted to check in on you, see how you're doing, make sure everything's going okay." He said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I'm in contract with this house." I said, "What? What happened? Why? How come you didn't call me?" And he goes, "I thought you were mad at me. I I thought you were mad, so I didn't call." So ends up he thought I was mad at him because of this door. And I said, "Jaime, congratulations. I'm glad that you're in contract on a property." I said, "Please know that I'm not mad at you. I was frustrated with the door, but no way would I ever be mad at you for this door being replaced." I said, "That's on me. It's not your fault. Congratulations." He goes, "Yeah, I just put $300,000 down on a house." So that was basically the short of the story here. And now I'm sweating and I'm a little bit upset, I think, just reliving it.
Okay. Let me
Go
make
ahead,
you,
D.
let me make you feel a little bit better, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay. This has been a rough day. So, you guys all know how, I mean, I brag on my sphere, I brag on my sphere and I tell you guys, you got to work your sphere. Look what my sphere does for me. You just got to keep hammering it, keep hammering it, keep hammering it. So I sold a house in 2019. Okay. I repped the buyer, sold the house in 2019. It was a tough transaction. Um, the buyer really wasn't as qualified as they should have been. I mean, there was a whole lot of work that went into it. We closed it out, skin of our teeth. Everybody's happy, hugging, high five, presents going back and forth, the whole 9 yards. And, like all of my clients, they went into the CRM. Okay. And so they're in the CRM, and as you know, we can see what they're doing in the CRM. We know what's going on. And this gal is really active on the CRM. She opens everything. She looks, she looks at market reports. She uh, looks at listings. She's got a couple of IDX searches on going on all the time. She's very active on the CRM. Every time I open up my CRM dashboard, it's her like 4 times. It's her like 4 times. Well, like I said, I sold it in 2019. Now it's 2025. I understand the real estate cycle in California. So it's time for me to start peppering them good and hard, right? Peppering them good and hard. Because they're gonna move on. They're gonna move up, just like they did in 2022, and I had no idea. They listed the house with another agent, sold the house with another agent. I had no idea, and the whole time I thought everything was fine because she was all over my CRM, all over my CRM, looking at all my reports, looking at all my listings, being very, very active. Those of you that are on camera, you can turn on your camera now so I can see how hard you're laughing at me. And yes, the humble pie tastes great. Okay. So I'm here to tell you folks, it's been a rough week in the Batista family. I mean, we have we have both, I think, learned some really, really big lessons. And the whole reason that we're kind of bearing our souls here and getting it out there is for you guys to learn lessons. So I want to say a few things about what I think I've learned. Maybe Brendan can say a couple of things about what he's learned. I can tell you about a couple of things that I both, well, actually, Brendan brought this idea to the table about what we're going to be doing. But okay, what I've learned is that is as good as I think I am, and as good as I think our automation is, and I know it's wonderful because people are using it. Um, we just got to work harder. We just got to work harder and do a better job of staying in front of our people. And I think that sometimes all of this technology can give us a false sense of security because that's exactly what I had. What I had was something that I was communicating with somebody, once every week with market reporting. I saw this person was engaged. I saw this person was opening it up, and the default in my mind was, okay, like they're good. They're good, right? I've built the bridge. They're using my stuff. We're good. They're good. We're good. No problem. Move on to the ones that maybe I haven't seen interacting in the CRM, that haven't opened up any emails, that haven't done this. Those are the ones I need to focus on. Oh, no. I think that you have to reach out and have some kind of verbal conversation, verbal check-in with them much more frequently, regardless of how they interact in the CRM. I think they need to hear us, right? They need to have a conversation with us. That needs to happen. I never want that to happen to me again. You know what I'll be doing for the rest of the week, right? Like going through every listing I've ever done and every sale I've ever done from the beginning of time and calling every single one of them because I think it's just that important. Um, so we need to use technology to help us, and we need to use all of our fancy stuff to help us, and all of our fancy stuff is really, really good. But at the end of the day, we still have to pick up the phone. We still have to check in with them. And just because they're interacting doesn't mean they're good, right? That's my big takeaway. Bren, what's your big takeaway from your experience?
Yeah, probably a couple things. One of them was thinking about everything that happened in the conversation, and I didn't think that I came off as upset. I definitely was frustrated, but I think that next time I'm going to have in my brain from now on forever is that even when things are going tough, I have to go, hey, no problem, we got this. This is good. We're good. And maybe that wasn't communicated correctly, where I let the day or door get the best of me, and he really thought that I was angry with him. And afterwards too, and of course, he's a good guy, so I told him, hey, congratulations. He said, you did an amazing job for us. You got us more than we wanted. It was all cash. You closed in 12 days. I mean, he goes, you were the best. Well, thank you. So I know that, I need to, some of those emotions, you have to keep them bottled up a little bit. This is still business. All right. We have to keep all that at bay. Even when you're having a tough time, you tell them, hey, everything is good. We've got this. We're looking good. Don't worry. That right there would have helped. Also, too, I think that Damian's right. You have to pick up the phone. That is really important, especially in these days with everybody getting peppered with robocalls and all these text messages that are robos as well. Even if it's just a voicemail, call your people, just say hi, tell them you're thinking of them, leave them a voicemail. And I think all of this, what Damian and myself both went through, can be avoided.
Yeah. Thanks, Bren. Thanks for being brave too. Okay, guys, before we move on to the next topic, give us questions, answers, feedback, comments, whatever you want to dig into it deeper. Let's dig into it deeper, please. I really don't want this to happen to you. It's a horrible freaking feeling. Like it is a horrible feeling. So we're here. We've bared our soul. What do you got? What do you want to know? If you want to beat up on us, that's fine. We can handle it. Probably deserve it. But yeah, what do you got?
So, So I went to the open houses, right, and I collected all those emails and phone numbers, and some of them I called and some of them I didn't call right away, and then I put them in the robot, and then I called the robot, and then the robot called them or whatever, and then finally I got a hold of this one lady, and she's like, "Yeah, I bought a house like 2 weeks ago, and so I mean, I didn't know her, and so it's not the same kind of a story, but putting people in the robot and just hoping it's going to work out for sure didn't work for me either.
Speed to lead, right? Speed to lead with the personal conversation, the personal comment. And it can get really hard because we all have about 8 million things going on, and you want to dump the data and put the engine to work and then hope that it works out for the best, but it doesn't always work that way. So yeah, thanks, Michael.
So Damian, did you call her since you found out she had bought a different house?
I literally found out like 15 minutes ago. I mean,
okay.
I literally found out 15 minutes ago. So not yet. But yeah, I will, because clearly she's looking for real estate. She probably wants to move.
Yeah, obviously she's not doing that 6-year cycle. She's just about 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. So no, absolutely. She's on my list for first thing in the morning. Yeah. Just can't believe it. So
Brandon, I have a question.
Dude,
So this door thing obviously happened a couple weeks before you closed, or at least a week, right? What did you celebrate them at any point? Like when they closed, was there ever a chance to kind of clear the air?
they're it actually happened like right when closing was happening. So I did send out thank you cards, I did not pick up the phone, so I could have done a better job connecting with them, but I did celebrate them, and in that fashion, as far as, hey, I mailed here, thanks for the transaction, thank you for the opportunity, and I left it at that, and I had no idea that that was even a factor. I had no idea that he felt that way, that I was mad at him, which I wasn't at all. So yeah, I think that I could have done a better job probably celebrating them too, and just in reaching out again and going, hey, thanks a lot. You guys are great. Whatever it may be.
Well, you missed out on going for a beer is what you did.
no, they can still go drinking.
Well, no, I mean, after the closing, wait maybe a week and say, hey, let's go grab that beer now.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I've just found, emotional intelligence is a big thing. And I've even, as Damian knows, I've just negotiated and lost the third offer on Alta. And I've gone through a roller coaster of emotions with him, where he's twice now said to me, don't be mad. And it's like, I know I have that RBF, so I am very aware of that and try to make sure I'm smiling, or sometimes we're on the phone. But it is a good lesson for all of us because, and I've told him several times, I'm not upset with you. This is business. I understand, but he's still, and that's part of his own, stuff that he's dealing with. But he's thought I've been mad at him several times. And it's like, yeah, do I want to be done with this? Yes. Am I mad at you? No. Do I wish you were a little more flexible? Yes.
Yeah. That's really
but
interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting to think that people, I don't know what our actions are, what we're going through, and we look at it as business, but they perceive it as us being mad at them actually. And that's not the case ever, obviously. We're never mad at our clients, really. We might have issues with the situation, but so that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, how do you do that better? How do we come across to where they don't think that we're mad? I don't think it's RBF. It's not that. I think it's just real estate gets very heated. It's very stressful, and they assume.
What is RBF?
Resting bitch face. Guilty.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah. So what is it, that happens where in this stressful environment, they go, well, they've got to be mad at me. And it's not the case, right? You're just, going through some of the tough times with what real estate brings. How do you do a better job? Maybe we should all communicate with them and, and go, hey, I'm not mad at you. And that sounds funny to me. That doesn't seem right, right? Where you go, I'm not mad at you. How do you communicate that in a way that's professional and to where they understand that this is just part of the transaction? It's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do the same thing with my kids, which I've kind of learned to do the same with clients. It's like, just because I'm frustrated at this situation doesn't mean I'm upset with you in any way, but I see myself needing to do a better job about that. So, just something to take away for sure.
Yeah, so if anybody has any suggestions on how we can communicate that better to clients, kids are one thing because they're with you all the time, right? But these clients, they may not know you as well as your kids do, or as well as your family does, right? And so, how do you communicate that to somebody that, hey, this is not a big deal. We will get through it. Maybe that's it, just there. You telling them that.
I'm going to be the second failure buddy here today. That I'm going to add something in that I I learned that I had to do a while ago, and the hard way. And my buddy Alan at the bottom of the screen has the same kind of deal because I've actually seen him do it. And when I really get going and fired up about something, I can sometimes see my client take like a step back, or I can sometimes see their face change. And so I have to tell them, hey, look, I need you to understand that I'm animated right now, or I'm fired up right now because I'm really excited, or I'm really passionate about this, or I'm really passionate about our position, or I'm really passionate about the outcome of this. And sometimes I can get a little bit carried away. So, please don't think that this has anything to do with us. This has to do with the situation because I'm so fired up about trying to take care of you right now. Um, Maybe something like that might help in a situation at times. I have to do it a lot. And like I said, I've seen Alan D'Andrade do it. I've heard it come from his mouth. Like, you know, in not just business, in personal situations and coaching situations, I've seen him, start to get going and have to say, hey, guys, I need you to understand, I'm just a passionate old school kind of guy. I'm a little fired up right now because I really feel strongly about this. And then everybody's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Versus, whoa, what the, he's a boxer. Is this guy going to take me out? What's going on? So over communicating, especially when you're starting to feel like you're rolling, when you're really getting going, over communicating for me has saved me a time or two.
Yeah, I think I need to take a page out of Alan's book and be better at that or exercise that more often because I think that I'm the same. I start getting pretty passionate when I'm going.
Mhm.
I have a 2 cents. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go.
Did you attend the closing?
Me?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. I held their hand
You
through the
did.
whole
Oh, you
thing.
did?
Oh yeah.
Because I was thinking, it's always a good time, but I always did closing gifts like I do sometimes I'd mail them, but usually I'd bring them to the closing
Mhm.
in a nice thank you card. And then I
Mhm.
had, before we had the great NextHome with all their tools they have, I had a sheet. It was a client survey sheet, and it was very detailed. And I asked them, I would have them fill it out. What did I do good? What did I do best? How was my negotiating skills between 1 to 10? All these things. So they actually gave me, good feedback so that I know it shows them that I really care. And now, with the next home, we can send them out that, I forget what it all is. I've done a whole bunch of them, but asking for a review and I don't know, you know. And then the other thing, I think it goes back to the 80/20. I mean, it's an old rule, but that 20%, you get on the phone and you just start going through your list. And even if you have to make a spreadsheet like I would of who I've called and just start doing it every single day, then you're not missing anybody. Even if you think we're bugging them, because I think I'm bugging people, but me out here being a buyer, I wish the agents would have reached out to me, but they didn't. I didn't want to have to reach out to them. I'm a buyer. I'm a sucker for sales for different things. Reach out to me if you got a product to sell me. I'll buy from you. But you got to reach out. You got to make the first move. So I think it's the same thing with our clients. They're looking online and we're like, oh, they're going to call me. No, they want to hear that phone call from you, right?
Cindy, I think you said something really important without even realizing you said it.
Really?
And you said, with me out here, in this situation that you're in now, you're the client and they're the agent. And what
Yes.
you said was, I want my agent to reach out to me. I don't want to have to reach out to them.
And I still feel that way. I wish she would reach out to me just to check in, because guess what? I have a couple questions, but I'm not going to call her. I mean, I will eventually, but I think throughout this transaction, are you going to be at the closing? I asked a specific question. You didn't answer me the question and said you sent me a list of providers to call, utilities. I mean, it's little things. It's so many little things. And I've been doing this for a long time, but being on the buyer end of my expectations, wow.
Yeah.
Cindy, I have a question for you, if you don't mind, kind of
Yeah.
that ties into all of this. Now, what if I was to say, because I say this all the time, and I'd like some feedback on all my emails. Every time I get off the phone, I go, hey, if you need anything, if I can help in any way, please don't hesitate to contact me. That's just not enough, possibly, it sounds like.
No, I think it is. I think it is. It's just and I've had this mindset too, because I would get on the phone and call my client, which I still need to do. I'm guilty of. I need to call my clients once I get settled in our new home, thank God, next week. I want to get on the phone and call my past clients and say, hey, I've moved. I've got a great team at NextHome, and whatever, introduce that. So if if they're going to be selling or they're going to be buying or whatever, but there again, if they have friends that are moving to Tennessee, which I have to get it together on an agency before I really reach out. But
Cindy,
I think it's just,
I'm going to interrupt you real quick because it's important. When you have that, talk to me first. When you have that conversation, I'm going to give you a script for that.
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I won't do that on my own. No, we've got scripts for everything, and I want to do it right, because some of these people I haven't talked to in a long time. I got clients that go back to 2002, 2000 that were my favorites. And I'll call them up and they'll go, Cindy, how are you? Or maybe, oh God, Fred died yesterday. It's like, oh Jesus, because they were 20 years older than me. I'm going to be 65. So they're probably in their 80s now, but my best clients. So I think it's just we can never, that word assume makes an ass out of you and me. Don't ever assume that they don't want to hear from us, right? Because they might.
Yeah.
If you need me, or yeah, that's perfect. It's just being consistent. And if they're bugging you, guess what they're going to do? They're going to unsubscribe. That's what they're going to do.
And there's no substitute for picking up the phone and actually calling your clients. There really is no substitute.
What's the worst thing they're going to do? Say, don't call me anymore. I'm not interested in real estate. Okay, great. Click next.
Or they'll just send you to voicemail and you can still do the check-in and the personal touch on the voicemail. It's just,
Yeah.
I think, as complicated as the world's getting and everything else, the simple things really still make the difference. We should have both just picked up the phone and frickin' called the people, rather than knowing, yeah, like my text got them, it's good. We're good. We're moving on to the next thing. And it cost us a huge amount of business. I mean,
Brian,
about the three people that said they lost a transaction. That's me, Brendan, Michael. That's $45,000.
Oh yeah, I lost 3.
I agree. That I called that lady that said she bought a house 2 weeks ago a bunch of times, but I never left a voice message because I feel like nobody wants to hear a voicemail anymore. So I sent them a text message instead of it's like I'm talking to you guys. Instead of, I don't want to bug Damian with a voicemail, blah, 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 blah. Like I'll just text a message. It's not the same. It's not.
Not the same. Not the same.
Oh. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think a good middle ground, and I did this on that last open house, is the people that did leave their numbers that indicated no, they weren't working with an agent. Before I left that open house, I stood in the kitchen and I did a personalized video thanking them for coming. And I do need to follow up with them again, but it was my face. I said their name. Thank you for coming. A couple of them were neighbors that I had invited for the first half hour. So I mean, if Michael, like you said, you don't want to bug them or you think nobody's going to listen to your voicemail, send them a video.
Yeah. 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 The data says that now when people watch a video of you, it's the same thing as if you're actually physically there with them. Yeah. They treat it like a visit.
I have heard that before. It's a genius. Genius. Thank you.
Yeah. Good point. Good call, Brianna.
And you
Okay,
can, you
anything
can text
else?
message them that.
Anything else before we jump into a really abridged version of CCP and my take on it and what I think you need to do when it comes to CCP? Fair warning, I'm going to get animated. All right. I'm going to get animated because you guys, if you know me, you know how I feel about this change. All right. Anybody? Anyone? Okay. CCP. How many of you watched the webinar or the replay of the webinar so you kind of have a kind of overall picture of what's going on with CCP in the NAR? Steve, I know, was there because we whined a little bit about it yesterday. All right. Let me give you the high level overview. All right. In 2019, NAR introduced legislation that was ruling that was adopted by all of the MLSs that are NAR sponsored, okay, which MetroList is. And it said you have to have if you have a listing and you're an NAR member and you're a MetroList subscriber, if you have a listing, you have 24 hours from the signing of the listing agreement to put it on the MLS and market it. Okay. If it takes you longer than 24 hours, you have to have your seller sign a thing. All right. But when it goes to market, it goes to market on the MLS. Okay. That's, in a nutshell, that's CCP. Okay. CCP is a really good thing because what it avoids is office listings, pocket listings, private listing networks, things like this. Okay. After the practice change lawsuit went through, there were a bunch of companies that started to get together to try and tweak and change and modify the way that listings were advertised. Initially, I believe, so that they could advertise a commission, right? They wanted to be able to find a way to continue to advertise commissions. The number one dirtbag in the whole damn thing, and I hope somehow, some way he gets a copy of this video on the internet because I'm going to put it there, is the CEO at Compass. You're a punk, okay? The CEO at Compass made this whole push now saying that CCP was unfair to sellers because it didn't give them options. CCP was forcing sellers to do things they didn't want to do, like put their house on the MLS. Okay. That's not fair to a seller, even though we all know that if you're a freaking superstar, like, I don't know, Patrick Mahomes, you can write a little thing on the listing agreement or the MLS addendum that says, do not advertise my house on the MLS. You can do that. All right. They always had that option. But the guy at Compass says, no, it's not fair. We got to change it. So him and a bunch of other jerks decided to make a movement and a push to start lobbying and pushing NAR to change the policy. NAR is not going to change the policy, but what they did was they made an exception because you can't go to NAR and say, you know what, you're like restricting sellers' choices since they just paid $500 million for theoretically not giving sellers choices. So what we ended up with now is two new statuses of listing. Okay, and this takes place. It's effective yesterday, and it has to be in practice by the middle of September. Two new statuses of listings. The number one is office listings are legal again. Okay, office listings are okay in the MLS, which means that if I've got a real estate office and I gather up a bunch of listings, I can advertise them as office listings and let nobody else sell them. Only my office can sell that listing. That's number one. Number two, there's an acronym for it. I don't know what it is, but it's basically, it's on the MLS, but it's not syndicating anywhere else. And it's delayed public marketing, meaning you can see it, other agents, but I'm not 100% sure you can sell it. Okay, so I've got a listing and I've let it fall in the special status of listings. I think it's DELM, DELM, something like that. There's going to be more on this. I'm not 100% up to speed. I can put it on the MLS, but it's not being marketed to the public for everybody to buy. It's my private office listing, but I'm going to use the MLS to advertise it. And it's unclear at this point, but I believe at this point, that means Steve, you buyer, or you see it on the MLS and you want to sell it to your buyer, too bad. Okay, too bad, because it's not up for debate. Now, there's going to be some action items that I might get to today or I might not get to today. We're all going to get involved in this and have an effect on it with MetroList. But that's what's happening, and here's my take on it. All right. Number one, it's BS. Okay. All that it is a way, this does not benefit the seller, the home seller, in any way, shape, or form. This benefits the brokerages that are going to run office listings only, are going to run private listing networks. And the whole reason that they're doing it is to try and double in more deals, period. They're trying to keep the money in-house, period. And you all know I don't need to cover it. You all know how I feel about dual agency to begin with. It's a major, major money grabbing dual agency, and it's being framed as sellers now have more choices, and oh, you're going to have so much better result if you put it on our private listing network because we're so awesome as a company. Are you serious right now? Give me a break. So, Steve, you own a real estate office. Maybe it's a big conglomerate. You got, let's say you got 600 offices. All right. And NextHome's got 800 offices. Let's say you got 600 offices and you say, I'm going to take all of these listings and I'm going to put them on my private network because we're that awesome and that huge. Okay. Are you going to tell me as a seller that that's better for me than going on the MLS and IDX? And oh, by the way, you guys know what runs Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, and Homes.com? IDX. Okay. IDX. So that means that my house is going to be on your private listing network. It's not going to syndicate. And most importantly, it's probably not going to hit the portals. And that somehow, some way is better for me. This is the biggest money grab in real estate that I've ever seen. Okay. So how do we deal with it? I want you to start talking about it right now, and I want you to start talking about it real loud. Okay, I've already started picking at it, and I've already gone after a couple of people pretty hard with it. If you watch my social media feeds, you know I've been picking at it for about 2 months, slowly, because I knew it was coming. I knew we were going to get here, right? You have to be the biggest proponent and champion for the MLS because it's good for the consumer. Okay. And at the end of the day, we are here for the consumer, right? Our fiduciary duty and our purpose is to help the consumer. The word agent says it all. You're an agent for whom? You're an agent for the consumer. You are their fiduciary. You are their, what's the word? It's gone. Whatever. Okay. When you start talking to people about listing their houses, you need to help educate them. You say, you know what? Hey, Steve, I know you're thinking about selling your house, right? Yeah, I'm thinking about selling my house. Okay. Do you think it's important for as many people as possible to see your house? Do you think it's important for your house to have maximum exposure? Would you rather that your house be viewed by 1 million people or 1,000? Which would you prefer, Steve?
Million.
Okay, well then I need you to make sure that whatever agent you talk to, if it's not me, whatever, great, no problem. But whatever agent you talk to, the very first question you ask them is, are you going to put my house on the MLS day one? Day one, I want my house on the MLS. Okay? And make sure that they do it and make sure that you insist on that and make sure that they show that to you in writing. Day one. Because if you don't, you're a fool. If you don't, you're giving money away. If you don't, you're limiting exposure. And the only reason they do that, they're going to tell you, Steve, it's going to give you exclusivity. It's going to give you a special audience with better terms. They're going to tell you things like that, Steve. But the truth of the matter is they want to keep it inside of their office, inside of the network, so they can double in your deal and keep both halves of your commission. That's why they're doing it. Okay? If I say it to you like that, Steve, that much passion, that much specifics, that much data, what are you going to say?
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. We're talking about listing appointments now. You guys are going into listing appointments. You can start using it now because, like I said, it took effect yesterday, right? You can start using it now. You can start saying, look, our company is not going to go this direct. Now, let me back up a step. Do not go into a listing appointment. Do not go into a listing appointment and start trying to explain CCP to a seller. Okay? Do not go into a listing appointment and start explaining the nuance of private listing networks to a seller. Do not do that. You're going to lose them. They're going to think you're an idiot. You're not going to get anywhere. Rather than that, when you go to a listing appointment, lean heavy and hard immediately into this is how we're going to syndicate your listing. This is how much distribution it's going to get. This is where it's going to go across the country. This is how many hits you're going to get. You're going to see a report on that every week. No one's going to get your listing in front of more eyes than me. No one's going to give you more exposure than me. There are companies out there that won't even put your listing in the MLS. You need to know that. We don't play that game. We want as many people to see it as possible. We want as much distribution as possible, and we want as many eyes on it as possible because it's good for you, not for me. And oh, by the way, if you're like me, you'll drop another bombshell on them. You know it's true because as a rule, I don't do dual agency. If somebody comes to me as a listing agent and wants to buy your house, I will not transact that for them. I work for you. Period. Okay? This is a big, big deal, guys. I don't know how else. I can't put it any more clear than that. I can't be any more passionate about it. You have got to get it out there. You have got to get ahead of it, and you have got to crush the idiots at Compass that are trying to shove this down everybody's throat. Okay? It's absolutely unacceptable, and it's dirty. It's damn dirty. Questions?
Damian, can you give us a little background on exactly what the ruling was? Because I was on the webinar yesterday as well, and even our CEOs are going, "Hey, we need to dive into this a little bit deeper. We're not sure what the ramifications are going to be. It's all sounds like it's still very much up in the air still."
It's really new, and the biggest problem is that the exact rules for how this is going to be handled will not be handled on a national level by the NAR. That's the biggest problem. They'll be handled at the local level by the MLSs. And that's the scary part. Let me give you an example. All right. Let's say, well, there's no let's say. There's nothing we can do about a house that goes on the MLS now that isn't publicly distributed and available for sale on the MLS. There's nothing we can do about that. But what hasn't been written yet is how long MetroList is going to allow that to happen, right? So let me ask you this. Let's say it's 3 days. Let's say that the MetroList rule becomes, yes, you can put a DLEM or DELM or whatever listing on our MLS without syndicating it and without making it available to the public. You can do that for 3 days, but after 3 days, it goes live. That's one scenario. Okay. Same house, same situation, except it's 30 days. See the difference? 3 days we can all probably stomach, right? It's a weekend. We can probably stomach that. 30 days? 30 days? Probably not, right? Probably not. MetroList hasn't written the rules yet. They haven't written the rules yet. So what I'm saying is, or I'm going to make the call tomorrow, like when you guys sitting down and talking about this, people like us need to show up. We need to show up and we need to call BS. Like, not all right. Right? Not all right. You want to give them 3 days? Give them 3 days. You want to give them anything beyond that? Don't even think about it. Or whatever. I don't know what it is yet. None of us know what it is yet. But what I do know is it will be managed locally. And so how MetroList chooses to handle this program is pretty darned important. Pretty darned important. And what I also know is MetroList hates screamers, right? So if enough people to get together and say, hey, not here. You know what? Not here. You want to do that in frickin' Ohio? Knock yourself out, but not here. Then we'll have a good level of success, and they'll probably write like a 3-day program or something like that. But you got to start talking about it now. You got to start getting ahead of it now. You got to start making it a bad thing now, because it is a bad thing, you guys. It's a very, very bad thing. All of you play seller for half a minute and think about the fact that the rules have just been changed so that your listing brokerage doesn't have to advertise your house on the MLS, and they can keep it in their office until they double end it.
Well, and from what I gathered, once you get the contract signed and you have that deferred part signed, it doesn't even get put into the MLS.
Yep.
And which is going to be also at that point, if it sells before, depending on what time frame they say, they don't have to put it in the MLS, which is going to affect comps and sales in the areas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was interesting that basically it's a ghost listing that is just only if I tell you that I even have it listed.
Yeah, no, Steve, that's a great point. The ability to put it in the MLS and not have it available to the public is an option. The other option is we're not putting it in the MLS, period. You know, we're putting it on our PLN, or we're holding it in our office or whatever. And
Right.
and then the other half of the problem, which is a huge one, is are they required to put in the sales data after it sells, period? I mean, are our sales numbers and our comp numbers going to get all screwed up? Like, what happens if 20, let's just use some numbers. What happens if 20% of the sales don't get reported, guys?
Yep.
I just don't even really understand why a seller would want to do that, other than, like you mentioned, if they're famous and don't want everyone, flocking. But it doesn't make sense to my brain at all.
Yeah, hold on and I'll answer that, Brianna. Jessica, go ahead. Your hand's up.
Okay, I might have missed it, but why would anyone want to do that? Why would any seller want to do that?
Well, this is the best news of all, guys. I don't think that any seller will want to do that.
Not in their right mind.
They will not want to do that. But let's look at the reality of things too. I hesitate to say this because I'm afraid that Compass Guy is going to be mad at me, see this video, and then sue me. Sellers will sign whatever you tell them to sign. They don't read that shit. I'm sorry. Bad mouth, potty mouth. They don't read it.
And that was brought up too, is, we send them this email with a DocuSign on it, and they just go click, 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 click. And, they don't see what they're selling or signing, and they just trust us. And that's not your fiduciary business, is to get them the highest dollar, and that ain't it.
Shelby have her hand up too, somebody said. Shelby, is your hand up?
No,
Shall we leave?
no, it's not. Unless I
Okay.
clicked it, but no.
Okay. If anybody has their hand up and I'm on a runner, somebody just jump in and say, shut up. Okay. You're both right. I don't think any seller would want to do it, but they can be tricked. They can be either directly or indirectly tricked into it. And then once they realize it's not on Zillow or Realtor.com or the MLS or whatever, then it's too late. It's too late. Okay. So, like I'm saying, when you go to a listing agreement, you leaned it, or a listing presentation rather, you need to lean in heavy to that, and you need to drop some landmines. Okay. Because a lot of times there's other agents that are going to come in, right? Or there's other agents that have gone before you. You need to drop some landmines. You need to say things like, look, we've had some changes. Okay. It's really, really important that you ask the following questions. Will my house be on MLS day one? Will my house be on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Homes.com, and syndicated across the nation on day one? Okay. You need to ask them what their plan is around that, and you need to ask for that in writing. Because if you don't, you could easily have a situation where your listing is only visible to agents inside of the same organization as your listing agent. That could easily happen to you, right? Now they're thinking what? And they might start to ask you questions like, well, I've sold 5 houses before. That's never even been an issue. What are we talking about here? Great. You open the door for me. I'm going to walk right through it. I'm going to tell you all about it and all about why we don't do that. And we will, guys, we have 800 offices nationwide. You don't think that we could put in a private listing network tomorrow and do this and pull this crap? We absolutely could. We'll never do that. We will never, ever do that. Because we put the consumer, we put our client first. And this is just bad for clients, period. Bad for them. Okay? Even the CEO of our company, I guess there's 2 of them now, but the original CEO of our company will tell you straight up, dual agency is a lie. Don't do it. Okay? I'm not telling you guys not to do it. I don't do it as a personal rule. You guys do it if you want. You know how I feel about it. Okay? So you got to get loud about it. You got to be vocal about it. You got to put it out there, and you got to be adamant about it. Okay? When you run into people, other realtors, when you run into other realtors out in the marketplace or whatever, you got to ask them about it. What's your brokerage doing around this? Right? What's this all about? Right? You don't like that? You don't think that's good for the client? Maybe you should come talk to us, because we don't do that, because I still believe there's more of us out there that are in it for the client than are not. I do believe that. I have to believe that, or I'm going to need to quit. Okay? Questions, comments, anything to add about CCP? I'm right up on it at 3:54. I don't want to break my word to you, and I want to get you out of here in an hour or less. Anybody think it's a good idea? Dawn, what does the cat think? Does the cat think it's a good idea?
The cat agrees.
No?
Rocky just doesn't care.
Rocky doesn't care. Rocky's
No.
out. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I would say the only thing that comes to mind for me is when you're not having to go through another agent and you are representing buyer and seller, you're obviously going to be making more money. So that gives you a little bit more leverage as far as getting everyone what they want. If you're willing to budge and chip in to make both parties happy, I do think that that could be a benefit. That's really, I mean, the only way I would see it would be fair to both sides.
Well, the integrity of the agent is where that kicks in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because I would absolutely be willing to forfeit part of my commission if it's gonna satisfy both parties and they do both feel like they're getting taken care of and that they both walk away happy. I could see where that could be of benefit to everyone. And you're still gonna make more than your 2.5% or 3%. So
Yep.
why wouldn't you?
Yep. Yep.
This whole issue is centered around integrity. I mean, that's all it is integrity. If you have integrity and you're there for your client, you would never talk them into holding a listing just in office. It makes no sense. You're doing a disservice. And unfortunately, there are people out there. So think about it. Once somebody selects a real estate agent, they have put their trust in them already. At that point, they could be talked into just about anything because they already trust you, right? So if there are people out there that are unscrupulous, they can easily take advantage, and this opens up the door for them to do so.
I agree.
My point wasn't necessarily for an exclusive listing because I don't think that's in the best interest of any seller. Mine was more to the point of just if
Dual
you
agent.
have a public listing and you end up representing the buyer.
I agree with you, Brianna. I think you're right. There's ways to make that work. Some people don't like doing it, but I think that you can definitely do dual agency and with integrity. So yeah, no different. I was touching on the actual in-house listing.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, I just didn't want anyone to think that I agreed with that part because I don't.
Got to clarify. Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, this is just getting started. But I'll say right now, I don't think it's going to be as much of a conversation piece as the practice change, but we don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, how it's going to go. We don't know exactly what's going to be required of us to try and fight this out at the local level to try and maintain the standards of our MLS and our industry. But, we got to be up for it. So we're going to talk about it more. We're going to figure it all out. So big takeaways from this meeting: talk to your clients, stay in touch. Don't think that technology is your savior. All right. You still got to do the work.
Pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone, right? Pick up the phone. Number two, start to get real verbal about what's good for sellers in our industry and what's not good for sellers in our industry. It's time for us to educate the sellers, to let them understand, or help them understand rather, that moving forward, it is possible for your listing to be limited, and that is not good for you. Okay. I think any seller, like two of you said, Brianna and Jessica both said, why the heck would any seller want to do that? You're right. Why would they want to do that? Okay. Why would they want to do that? All right. If there's nothing else, I am going to click the button in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. We'll see y'all soon.